You have done well, my apprentice.
Hey guys, welcome to Oddcast, a For Nerds by Nerds show. I'm your host Joe, and today I'm going to talk about Kenobi. But more importantly, I'm actually going to talk about the Kenobi finale, which is right around the corner now. And I like to examine everything from the standpoint of looking at all the pieces as they connect, trying to put them together in my own mind to come up with where I think the storyteller is going and predict it before they get there, mostly because it's fun for me, in a little segment I call, Where Are We Going? And today, I'm going to discuss, well, not two things, but one thing, really. But there's something that I want to see in the finale, and I'll get to that at the end of the video. But what I actually want to talk about is Reva, and where I think her story's going. Because there's only going to be so much time that I've got to predict what's going to happen next, because, well, like I said before, the finale is upon us. So Reva's been developed into a more full character in the past couple of episodes, even though I thought she started off strong. But way back in episode 1, I actually told Paige, I'm pretty sure she's actually trying to hunt Vader, and lo and behold, episode 5 reveals she is in fact trying to hunt Vader by getting close to him, because after all, that's how you would do it. But Vader, being the goat of using force powers that he is, shows off in true Vader form that you can't bullshit a bullshitter. After all, he lied to all those Jedi for oh so long. I'm just kidding, he didn't lie. He was tempted to the dark side. The ultimate bullshitter is, of course, always going to be Palpatine, who, as we all know...
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows at this point, except for maybe Dave Filoni. So Reva is out here doing her thing. She's been stabbed in the stomach and she survived, which a lot of people say is a bad trope. After all, Qui-Gon died by getting stabbed in the stomach, and a lot of people think he's the only one to die, but unless I'm mistaken, didn't a famous pilot also die on a bridge by getting stabbed in the stomach? And I do know that the Grand Inquisitor, was injured by getting stabbed in the stomach, but
there are some things far more frightening than death.
And I can only imagine that those things being worse than death are for sure having to be dragged back from almost dying all those times, pieced back together, and then put back out on the field like a plaything. But that's besides the point. What do I think they're going to do with Reva? Well, as we know, she's on her way to Tatooine. And side note, in the first episode of Where Are We Going, which was the first one of these kinds of videos that I ever did, I predicted that they were actually going to kill Leia. And then episode 5 happened, and of course pulled the rug right out from under me. So, do I think they're still going to kill Leia? It's possible, although now the Force is with them killing Luke. Or maybe Owen. Or maybe they kill Reva. Either way, someone's dying and Obi Wan is saving them, and that is what is going to turn him into an old man. I will stand by that. It is a hill I'm willing to get stabbed in the stomach on. And I only say that because the odds are I'll survive. Alright, so moving on. Reva is now hell-bent on bringing damage to Vader's family. I mean, she just wants vengeance and she's blinded by it, which is kind of what Obi talked about in episode 5. Now, the folks over at Screen Rant, which, by the way, if you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend them, they have actually proposed this idea. Each episode has kind of reflected, casually, the episode of Star Wars that it would be. So, like, episode 1, they spend all their time on Tatooine, etc., etc., etc. They move on. So, essentially, their argument is that this is going to be a Return of the Jedi episode. It's pretty believable. The only real question becomes, who are the Ewoks going to be? I think I know who the Ewoks are going to be. The Ewoks, of course, being the alien species native to Endor, are the savior people, the ones who save the day at the end. We do know that Reva has a series of her own coming, and we know that there are other characters taking place on Tatooine as we speak, building the story up. So, let's move on with the puzzle pieces from that perspective. We know that at the end of this, Reva has to go away, because after all, she's not part of Luke's upbringing. We also know that she's going to want to stay dead, otherwise the Empire would hunt her. Not that that means that she can't do other stuff, it just means she's probably going to want to lay low. So, here is my theory. The redemption that comes for Vader actually comes for Reva in this one. So, we're going to mirror that Return of the Jedi theme that they've got going. However, the alien species that is native to Tatooine, it's the Tusken Raiders. And Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have done a great job of making us feel more connected to the Tusken Raiders after all. They're real people. They speak ASL. They are actually a lot more noble than we gave them credit for. So much so that Boba Fett spends time with them. So Reva said this line in episode 5, which is really what I'm going to hearken on here.
I tried to help them, but I couldn't. I was too weak. They were the only family I knew. And he slaughtered them.
And the reason I'm going to hearken on it is because it sounds very similar to this line from Boba Fett.
Boba is dead.
I was left for dead on the sands of Tatooine. Like you. I was rescued by the Sand People. They took me in, treated me as one of their own. I tried to help them.
Do you see the mirror there? Both of them are individuals looking for a family. Here in the Tuscan sand dunes. And that leads me to this. This Tuscan Raider. Some might say this Tuscan Raider has the Force. I said it when I saw it. However, my theory was at the time, I think that's Mara Jade, hidden amongst the Tuscan Raiders. But now I've got a whole new theory. And that theory is that the badass Tuscan Raider Jedi Knight person thing that trains Boba, I think that's Reva. I think that she was wearing her mask. But I know what you're thinking. Joe, it can't be Reva. She dies then when the Tuscans get attacked by the spice dealers. I don't think she did. Because this all ties into fixing Rise of Skywalker. In Rise of Skywalker, it's established that Palpatine has a cloning program.
It cannot be. The Emperor is dead.
Dark science. Cloning. Secrets only the Sith knew.
That cloning program has kept him alive. However, he needs midichlorians to survive. They haven't said that yet. However, it is hinted at in The Mandalorian. It's actually the driving storyline of The Mandalorian up until Season 3. Because they are hunting the child to get their blood. Also, in Part 4 of Kenobi, we see these guys.
Ben, what is it?
I think I've just found out what they're hiding down here. This place isn't a fortress. It's a tomb.
That's right. All these Jedi, but they're not frozen in carbonite. No. They are hermetically sealed for freshness so that you can extract midichlorians as you see fit because Palpatine is going to need them when he starts to clone himself. Now, Reva is probably going to have to fake her death. And then the Tusken Raiders get attacked by the spice traders to clear them out. And at the behest of the person who's forming the First Order in the shadows, that's right, the hidden big bad who actually knows what Palpatine is doing and is working in conjunction with him and is going to tie Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and anybody else who takes place in that time together into one battle, Thrawn. He knows. And he has probably deduced that this Tusken is more than just a Tusken, and he wants her midichlorians for the Emperor. So I think that this Raider is actually, I'm going to label it, that's right, I'm going to quote a pun right here. I think that Reva is actually following the story of the Lone Ranger, and I am going to refer to this person now and forever as the Lone Raider, because it is a Jedi Knight who is fallen to the dark side and then died and then was reborn as a good person and becomes the Lone Raider. That is what I think they're going to do with Reva. That's my prediction. That's my theory. I think she becomes a good guy. And I think that if we were to follow her when she gets off the planet, the spice traders capture her, the series opens up with that, and then it's her dealing with the shady underworld and what's left of Maul's empire. And then, of course, instead of getting Reva as a Force ghost at the end of the story, we get Qui-Gon. Now, here's where we're going to go off the rails in Crazy Train. And I don't mean just that train riding through the desert. No, not that. The crazy theory that I think is going to happen, and it's going to rock the Star Wars world to the core, and that is this. I think that the reason that Maul got pulled from this series is because he's going to be the big bad on Andor's show, because after all, he's running the shadowy underground before A New Hope, so it would make sense that he's around. And I bet that he's going to interact with more of the Jedi that we want. But what you really need is a different, bigger bad to make it so that Maul is kind of on the run. You need somebody else that you can get behind, right? You know, you want that something, that spice. And this is where I think the spice is going to come. I am predicting that Starkiller, that's right, the Starkiller, the one that I love, the one from the games, is going to be in the Star Wars universe. I think they're going to make him canon, because after all, if you played The Force Unleashed 2, and I'm sorry it was a short game, we know that Starkiller is also a Force clone. But he's not the only Force clone, he's just one of the first ones. I can believe that they would experiment on him. Also, Vader has no interest in taking Reva as a Padawan, which seems weird given the Sith rule of 2. And she showed her cunning, she showed that she had vengeance on her mind, she had hate, she had everything that a Sith Lord could potentially want in an apprentice. Even the urge to kill him. But he didn't do it. And why didn't he do it? It's not because he wanted Luke as an apprentice. No, that won't happen for another 8 to 10 years. What he actually didn't do was take her as an apprentice because he already has one. He has a hidden one. So, in the beginning, before the Inquisitors, Vader was out hunting the Jedi. Just like at the start of Force Unleashed. So, he's out hunting Jedi, he finds a small boy, powerful in the Force, hides him from the Emperor. So that he can have an apprentice, because he wants that family again. He lost it. He lost it when the Jedi Order fell, and he lost Ahsoka. He lost it again when Padme died and his children died with her, so he has a longing for family. Because after all, if Boba Fett and Reva have taught me anything, it's family is very important. And that's what everybody wants. Even Obi Wan is longing for a family, guys.
I know that feeling. As Jedi, we're taken from our families when we're very young. I still have glimpses. Flashes, really. My mother's shawl. My father's hands. I remember a baby.
A baby?
Yes, I think I had a brother. I really don't remember him. I wished I did.
So, he takes an apprentice. Small boy. However, that boy, at the beginning there, you age him a little bit. It's going to put him in his early to mid-20s now, is what I would say. If he got him when he was 13, and that was, a couple years ago. And don't get me wrong, Sam Witwer is looking a little rough around the edges, but he still is Starkiller, and he could still play that part. Especially if they only introduce him in this one without de-aging him. Please, just leave him the age he is. He looks fine. He just can do it. He's also the only person to really stand out as far as doing commentary. Seems like something that somebody on the inside would joke around about. So, Maul gets pulled. The voice of Maul, who is also Sam Witwer, is actually Starkiller. And I think that Starkiller's coming. He ties directly into the plot line as it stands with Palpatine. After all, how does Starkiller Base come to be? How is that a name? Like you just pulled it from nowhere? It's kind of a nod to the Force Unleashed game. And this is my final closing piece of evidence that Starkiller is coming. Right before Obi Wan Kenobi premiered on Disney+, The Force Unleashed re-released on the Switch. Hey guys, Joe from the editing room. I just wanted to reach out because there are two things that I noticed, and one of them I knew would kind of stir up some issues in the comment section, so I decided that I'd jump ahead and answer those questions now. One, yes, I am aware that it shows the Tusken that I am making reference to in the pan-over of dead bodies when they show the effects of the Pike Syndicate attacking the Tusken camp. However, throughout the episodes, we did see a couple of other Tuskens that were wearing black and red, so I'm not 100% sold that that is, in fact, the Tusken that I have in question. However, Reva did suggest that she has hid amongst bodies before, so to me it's not unlikely that she would have had a decoy, or Thrawn is also smart enough to have left a decoy body so that nobody would come looking for her in the event that they could piece together that she wasn't there. And two, and this might just be them making reference to the way that Anakin behaves, but how often do you hear the term slaughter in Star Wars?
I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals.
They were the only family I knew. And he slaughtered them.
Both because Vader's involved, but also because Tuskens are involved, if you get what I'm saying. So that's it, guys. That's the theory that I've got. I think that Reva is going to become that Tusken Raider badass fighter person that trains Boba Fett in his show. However, there's so many other pieces, and Star Wars is a constantly evolving ball right now. So let me know what you think down in the comments, and while you're down there, hit that like and subscribe and the little bell for notifications, and that way you'll know the next time I decide that I want to get on here and predict where we are going. Thanks for joining, guys. Have a great one and stay safe out there.